Well, hello, LinkedIn fam. My name is Michelle Gardner-Ince, aka GI. So glad to have you with us. We are here about to talk about grit and grace, women of grit and grace. We've got a special guest today. We've had many guests, which you saw on the um, previous slideshow. We've had Lori Smith. We've had Jasmine Rush, and today we are blessed to have the Slay Queen, Rochelle Hemingway, CEO, author, image consultant, and author of Slay to Success. She's a U.S. Air Force veteran. I'm going to let her tell about herself, but we are so glad to have her. I can tell you we have been sisters in the spirit, in addition to sisters in service. We got a chance to travel together to an event about a month, no, maybe 2 months ago. The Women Veteran Interactive Pink Tea, I think it was, down there in Atlanta. And oh my God, and we got to, guess what, visit Tyler Perry's studio together. But I really got to know her, really enjoy her heart to just share and empower women to be their best self. But today we're going to be talking about Slay the Day, what she did with her fear, because her battlefield is hers to command. So with that, hey Rochelle, what's up, girl?
Hello, GI. What's going on? What's
Oh,
happening?
hey, we are here. We are here to give people a little taste of you as one of our founding members of Grit and Grace, as well as one of the facilitators for the June 5th event. I'll be putting the QR code and slide up later, but without further ado, let's hear about you first, and then we'll get on into our fireside chat. Tell people a little bit about yourself, anything I mentioned, anything you want them to know, and definitely tell them about why you committed to this grit and grace effort that, just kind of, God kind of brought the three of us together, and here we are. And we've added a few more other amazing women as well.
Thank you. And, I'm so excited that we are partnering. This is just absolutely divine. And so I'm like, GI in the building. We've got Lori Smith, Jasmine Rush. We got Yolanda Tate. We have, so many facilitators that are going to be helping us with this effort. And so I can hear a little bit on the background, on the backside. There we go. And so, I just really enjoy supporting, encouraging, inspiring other women who have been through the battlefield, and I'm telling you, there's a lot that's going on behind the scenes. But for those that don't know who I am, my name is Rochelle Hemingway, and I'm affectionately called the Slay Queen. And there's a lot of different reasons why I'm called the Slay Queen. But that name was given to me by my airmen at my last duty station. And so my philosophy of Slay is all about doing whatever it is to the best of your ability and making sure that you are consistent and showing up for yourself. Because a lot of times we give up on ourselves, we doubt ourselves, we don't know necessarily what that next thing is. But I am now the CEO and founder of Slay to Success. And Slay to Success has many arms, y'all. I mean, one of those is an image consultant. I'm also helping with personal brands, help build brands. I also write books. Now I know, like in this next chapter, I'm very creative. I'm a speaker. I speak on a lot of different platforms, either virtually or in person. And of course, as you stated, GI, United States Air Force veteran. Okay. So, 30 years of being dedicated to the military was a long, but when I look back, even the hardest of the days, it was very rewarding to see that I could get through some of the things that I thought were nearly impossible. Nearly impossible.
Well,
So
I love this theme that we've selected, slay the day and what you did with your fear, because, you know, um, you know, we can command the battlefield. I thought that was so appropriate as a,
Mm.
former command, chief master sergeant. Um, again, I want to say welcome. What a tremendous journey, because for those of you who don't know about, about achieving the rank of chief master sergeant. Rochelle is what I call a fodder, right? And I coined that term from Shonda Rhimes. She's a first, she's an only, and she's different, because when you're a chief master sergeant and then you add black and female, that is extremely rare air. And it is very competitive to get there. And it is also challenging once you get there. So again, I want to ask you about, your first moment of confrontation, right? Because
Mm.
because many times, and I just had a conversation with someone about this, you want to hate and confront me for being me.
For being me.
I'm not hurting you. I'm not doing anything to you, but you just want me to marginalize and not be my best me. So I don't know what that means for you, but I just refuse to do it. But I know at some point in your 30-year career, you had a moment of confrontation. Tell us when you had to slay a challenge head on.
This is so good. I was thinking about all the 30 years. First of all, before I get started, I want to acknowledge everyone here who is live, because they could
Yes,
spend their time anywhere
yes,
else, but they
yes.
decided to
Thank you.
spend it with us tonight. So we have Jenny from LinkedIn, have Jasmine,
Yes,
of course. Sharice is in the
yes,
building. Lori's in the building. Sharice and I were actually stationed at Nellis Air Force Base in 2006 to 2012. So, having our sisters in arms,
yes,
come and listen to
yes,
us is such a beautiful thing. So we appreciate you
yes,
all coming here tonight.
yes. I want to echo
Um,
that. Thank you. If you want
yeah.
to take a second um, to get your before you share your thoughts, I do want to say please forgive me. I'm up here playing production and
She's
so
doing all the
forgive
things,
me.
y'all.
I'm doing a lot of things back here. And all of them, sometimes we do things, but that don't mean we should be, but for now we're doing it.
That's right.
uh, but, but I want to thank Jenny, who is I call her the Oprah of small business. She has been just an inspiration to me from a long time. Met her during COVID. She does some amazing things. And Lori Smith and Jasmine, our sisters in service, Navy and Air Force fellow veterans, as well as others joining us on Facebook and YouTube. And of course, my favorite, no shame to the others, LinkedIn. So with that, let me repeat the question. Tell us a story about a moment when you had to slay a challenge head on. And
Okay. Um, so this is kind of that's a loaded question. And I was really thinking through all the situation and circumstances. And I had little insights as I was going along the way. My first encounter was when I was a senior airman, but it wasn't as significant as when I made chief. So I shared a little bit in my first book about my experience of making chief. And chief, y'all, in the military is one of those ranks that people strive to get to for many years. Some get there, some don't. Um, my husband, he had already been promoted to chief prior to me being promoted. So in this setting, if you will, they go around and they tell you when you make chief. Now, I didn't think that I was going to make chief the first time out, because I was a late bloomer all throughout my career. So many of the ranks, I waited years to get promoted. But chief, I tested first time, made it first time, And my welcome was absolutely disappointing, and it took about 4 to 5 months after that to realize when you're doing the right things for the right reasons, people who haven't been get upset, they get frustrated, they get mad, and they want to kind of dim you down. All right. You're the informal leader. I was the informal leader in a lot of different ways. I didn't exactly have the position of authority, but when it came to people wanting mentorship, guidance, support, I was their go-to. And people see that, when they see that, and then you get a rank or a grade that is commensurate to that authority, it is like throwing out all the excuses, throwing in all the reasons why, putting other people in another position where you should be, because in the Air Force, in the military, it's hierarchy. That didn't happen for me, y'all. I was put to the side and said, yeah, you may chief, but we got another person over here that we want to get to chief. So we're going to put this person in play while you have to sit back and you don't get to enjoy the benefit of being promoted.
Wow.
So, and I confronted the individuals that were in the positions of leadership, and they had nothing. Okay, there was nothing. I didn't get any paperwork. I didn't have anything written down that what I was doing or how I was doing was something that I need to change. None of that happened, y'all. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
when I confronted them, when I got crickets, I said, okay. All right. So you don't want to discuss this with me. You don't have anything to say. Guess what? It's irrelevant to where I'm going. Now, yeah, yes, I was seeing red. Yes, I was angry. Yes, I even said out loud to my husband, it's time for me to retire.
Mm.
It's time for me to retire before I even put on the rank.
Mm-hmm.
But he talked me through it. My dad was still living and he talked me through it. My mom said, you didn't come this far to let one or two individuals get
Yeah.
to you. You're going to have to face this. And I need you to stand up tall, put your best foot forward. Yes, you're angry and you're upset, but don't get outside of what you've been trained and developed to do. You are a great leader. You know what you're doing. And so we need you to move forward. And so when you have a support system like that,
Yes.
you know what I mean? It's like
Yes.
if I didn't have them, it would have been a wrap. It would have been a wrap. I would have been like, you know what? Y'all is not, no, because my sanity is more important to me right now. And what you're trying to do is to discount and discredit everything that I have done up to this point, and that's not going to happen.
So what did it teach you about your own power?
Mm. It really taught me that I'm stronger than I had been believing in myself for so long. You know, I've like many of us that are in the military, we get deployed to all these different locations, right? And there are some locations that I've been to that have been absolutely scary, and I didn't think that I was going to come home, right? And so, even in those moments, you're thinking, can I do this again? Can
This.
I go on another deployment and put my life in jeopardy? Because, I have to. I'm contracted to do this. But I started to really think about me from a generational point, my ancestors, what they had to do. And I knew I was covered and I was protected. My dad, he was a deacon and he used to pray over me and my husband all the time.
Wow.
make them equally yoked, and protect them from all harm
Mm.
and danger that may come their way, visible or invisible.
Right.
And so when you have that type of thinking, and I'm thinking I am now representing not only the King family, but also the Hemingway family, because that's my last name and my husband's last name. There's a different mindset and approach that I was starting to take.
Mm.
And that's kind of what helped me to see myself as more than just a chief, Rochelle, a wife, a mom. Like, I am a powerful human being. And I
Yes, you
have
are.
all the things in me that need to be expressed, but doing it in a way where it brings the best and the most favorite things out of me. So, I'm not being reckless, all right,
Right.
at all.
Right. Right.
I'm not trying to, boast and tell people that I know all the things, because I only know what I know, right? But I feel like when once you tap into that and kind
Yeah.
of see yourself from a different way,
Yes.
all the noise
Goes away.
goes away. I don't even
Yeah.
know what's happening with that. I'm not
Yeah.
even paying attention.
That's their problem. It's not yours.
It's not.
Yes.
It's not.
So, you know, as you went through that battle and you realized you were stronger than you knew, you know, as you've gone not just with that battle, but previous battles, what tools and truths help you slay the fear or doubt? Because so many people, um, you know, talk about this imposter syndrome, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are weapons of war, right? Or weapons or tools we can use that help us realize we're not imposters, really.
Mm-mm.
We're not. Even those people who feel like they are, they just haven't embraced themselves. So, what are some of the truths, or tools that slay the fear when there's doubt in that moment
Mm.
that you could
Yeah.
share with some of the listeners?
So my go-to is working out. Now, this is where we get to hear a little bit about the routine that I do every single day. I have to think back to the time where I was not as healthy and as fit, and I only correlated moving my body with the physical fitness test. So we had a physical fitness test every year. Some of us had to take it twice a year, depending on the score. And I would take the test, and I'm like, you know what? I'm good, right? I'm physically fit. I'm in shape. I can do push-ups, sit-ups all day. But as the years started to progress, I started to see more as a tool to help me with the disempowering thoughts that I had in my head. Because when you get into leadership roles, especially being a woman and then you're a Black woman, you are in opposition all day, every day. Someone wants to challenge you, someone wants to gaslight you, somebody wants to say that you're not speaking the same language they're speaking and have you thrown off. And then that's when the doubt starts coming in on, why am I here? Am I up to this? Am I the marker for the success of what they're looking for? You know, so I work out every day still, and it is not just for the physical activity, it is for the mental aspect.
Mm.
If I can push through, and for instance, this morning it was 7.5 miles per hour, and y'all, I'm 52 years old. So 7.5 miles per hour for a minute, and then walk for a minute 10 times. Okay. To see where my level of tolerance is. And every time when I doubt myself that I can't do the first one, the second one, the third one, I get to the 10th one and I'm like, I just did 7.5 miles per hour on this treadmill, you know? And so it starts to then translate into whatever I'm doing outside of that. if I can do something challenging with my body in this way, what can I do challenging mentally in this space? You know, so it's
Yes.
kind of countering. You counter all the thoughts. If you feel good, if you look good, then you show up, in such a
Yes.
way with the confidence, because I had to regain confidence after I retired from the military. All right.
Really?
Yes. Because I
Really?
felt, yes, because I felt like I don't know what I'm doing. When I retired,
Mm,
I don't have a purpose. I don't have
mm,
anything that I'm supposed to be doing right now. I feel like I need to be doing. You know how we were just doing. I didn't have anything to do right after I retired. And so for me, that equaled you're not good enough. What are you doing? You're wasting time.
right.
You're resting on your laurels. You shouldn't be taking no rest. You should be looking for a job. Why are you not, getting out here and doing other things, right? And the pressure was real. And I started to kind of like fold into myself and I said, "Oh no, I don't know.
Mm-hmm,
I don't know
mm-hmm.
what I'm doing." So, you know, I think that's one of the techniques.
Yeah.
Another is, I go to church every Sunday. I try to anyway. There are some Sundays where other things happen, right? But my spiritual health is important for me as well. Like I need to be filled because I'm always filling everybody else's cup.
True. True.
So I go and I try to get more inspiration, a sense of being in a set and reset and refocus my energy so that
Mm-hmm.
way I am showing up in alignment with who I say I am. I tell my people all the time, I like the energy, I like the comfort, right? And if I don't feel good and don't feel up to it, then I just feel like I'm off, right? So I just feel like that is an important way for me to kind of, figure out things. And then, um, you know, I I like to go shopping. Okay, shopping is my
Ooh,
therapy,
retail therapy.
retail therapy. Okay, even if I don't go in there and buy anything, I'm looking and putting my hands on clothes. I don't know what it is, y'all, but we all have our things. It's my thing. If I feel overwhelmed or if I feel stressed out, I just need to take a break and I just go to a store and I just walk around. It's a happy place for me. Now, I have some
Mhm.
discretionary funds that I could, buy a few things if I want. But,
Yeah.
we all have to find what our interests are, what is going to help us to move through doubt, fear, anxiety,
Yes.
pressures, all the things.
Yes. So you would say the tools that you used are working out, which is physical, attending church, which is spiritual. Then you have, your retail therapy. Are there, but I absolutely know that you have some pearls of wisdom that you kind and some sayings that you speak to yourself
Mhm.
as a weapon to cancel out that doubt, to
Yeah.
cancel out that fear. Give us a couple of those.
So I packaged it all up in the sleigh because sleigh for those that are new and I'm not sure, what I'm talking about. If you look up in the Urban Dictionary, you're not going to find it in the regular dictionary. It means to kill it, to dominate it, and to nail it, to be on point, to impress greatly, to dream big and work hard until you own it. When someone told me I was slaying it at like my 23, 24-year mark, and this person I was very close to, actually, he was one of my airmen, and he lost his battle with his depression
Mm,
3 days before I deployed, my last deployment before I retired. I
mm,
didn't get to go to his funeral. I didn't get to go to his memorial service. So that I went into the deployment very broken. It was the first time that I deployed since AJ was born, and AJ was 7 years old at the time. And so when you have all this going on, this internal, like I just felt like everything was just off. And he would always tell me, Chief, you slaying it. Chief, you slaying it. Look, they ain't got nothing on you, Chief. Look at you. You come in here, you looking sharp as a tack, and look at them. They looking like they just woke up out of bed and just put their uniform on. Let them have it, okay? Let them know. He would just go in about it. So I took that and I said, you know what? Maybe I can attach some philosophies that I have learned over the years that I value and I still apply in my everyday. And that first word or phrase for the letter S is to stay ready to be ready.
Love it.
You know, because how many times have we been presented an opportunity and we like, yeah, we ain't ready. That's not for me. And then you look back and you're like, you know what? I should have been ready for that. Like I needed that, right? And so whatever that looks like in your everyday.
Mm-hmm.
So the L means to lead out loud. Like leadership, self-leadership is hard. I'm telling you, to lead
It
your
is.
own self, I could lead thousands of airmen. And you know, it was complex and yes, it was hard, but you know, eventually over time, once you do it over and over again, you get better at it, right? But when you have to lead your own self and be disciplined in a moment, and you really have to take on yourself in action, it could be hard because we
Yes.
could just say, nah, not today, not today,
Yes.
out there, right? So, but we have to look at ourselves and ask ourselves, what do we want to be known for? What are we trying to strive for? What are the goals? What's the vision for
Yes.
ourselves?
Yes.
And take ownership and responsibility for it and just start stepping out to it. You know, people will start to see that you're being serious about it and they'll start to be on board with you. It may take a
Yes.
minute, but
Yes.
you have to show them. The
Yes.
other is a, a sense of community, a sense of family. You can't do anything by yourself. If you want to go further, you have to collaborate, you have to partner, you have to be
Yes.
in communion with other people and like-minded people. I'm not just saying, so you know, in this next chapter, it's much different than it was
Hello.
in the military because guess what? In the military, they just give you people. Okay. They come on the team
Fruits.
and you gotta, you know, kind of get them to do. They could be trying to sabotage and undermining you, but you still gotta like, let's go get on the team. Now in this next chapter, you have options. You can start to choose and choose wisely, picking people who are driven, who are have the same type of energy that you do. Because I'm not going to be zapped. Okay, I'm just not. So you have to be doing it with intention. You
Yes.
know, so picking people and surrounding yourself with the like-minded people, but you need to be in community. And then the why is you are built to last, because too many times we will give up on ourselves. We give up on ourselves so easily. We'll just say, you know, I'm good. I'm just not going to do that.
Mm.
I just don't feel like I have it in me anymore. And guess what? All those years, those 30 years of service, I just kind of took 1 year to the next year to the next year. And before I knew it, I was at the 30-year and 25-day mark. And I was looking out in the crowd and I just could not, I had to pinch myself
Wow.
over and over again
Wow.
because I was built to last in a highly conforming, male dominated environment
Yes.
and doing it with success and honorable service. If
Mm-hmm.
I could do that, I could do just about
Anything.
anything else.
True that. True that.
You know, so having to believe in yourself, having to trust in yourself, having to be able to talk to yourself and do it in a kind and caring and purposeful way.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So slay is um uh to stay ready,
Yeah.
lead out loud.
Yeah.
Then the A was, what was the A?
A sense of community.
A sense of community. And then the Y is
you are built to last.
you are built to last. I absolutely, I mean, I've heard you say Slay Queen, but this is my first time.
Oh,
By the way, my mom's watching. Rochelle
oh,
gave her your book. She called me today and said, hey, send me the link. I'm over watch it.
oh,
So
hi,
I'm like,
Mama.
you
How
got
you
a fan.
doing?
You got a fan. You got a fan. Miss Willie loves you. But you know, I love it. Built to last. And you know, many times you said so many things that I was biting my tongue to not interrupt, because you know, one of the things you said is we were built to last in this kind of environment. And and when we transition, that doesn't change, right? And so I think many times, I was just talking with a friend of mine, and he said, oh yeah, Michelle, somebody said, yeah, you carry the black card. And I said, I don't know what that means. And I literally went to Chat GPT and put, what does the black card mean, you know, tied to a black woman. And it's a black woman who is, you know, if you have a black card, like, you know, American Express, that means exclusive, you know, and all of that. But it also means that you, you know, have achieved a lot. You are confident. You are, have unwaverable and unapologetic confidence. And I thought, well, even if that's a negative connotation, I think that's me. And a lot of it has to do with our receipts, right? The receipts are, we have paid the price. And so
Yes.
it's misunderstood that our confidence and our strength is what it is. But this was birthed out of survival. This was
Yes.
birthed out of, I must succeed, I can't fail. And so, you know, when you come to the Grit and Grace event, what's amazing is you get to hear other women who are just like you. They may not be as, you know, speak as strongly as I am, but the spirit is still as strong because of their sacrifice and their service and their accomplishments. And we are giving each other permission,
Yeah.
to be,
Absolutely.
to just be, to unapologetically be, and to help us. You know, Rochelle has been through a transition out of the military into a successful business. We also have Yolanda, who's, you know, transitioned into, you know, corporate, but she's also doing her wellness business. We have Lori, who has transitioned, who now she's in business. You know, she's working on her doctorate. She's leading her nonprofit. We have Jasmine, who's transitioned, who's still working for the government, you know, much like me, but still also has her thing on the side, her speaking, her photography, and her, you know, and her books. And so we're just giving you permission and showing you how you can do it too. And
Yeah.
although it's different, it's the same, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And so, you know, I just want to say I'm always inspired to be. I think our energy is similar, and I feed off
It
your
is.
energy, you know. And I love that because, you know,
Me
as you
too.
said, so many people take from us. They
Yeah.
come to get our energy, but then who's
Yep.
pouring into us? And I think that's the power of the Women of Grit and Grace. That's June 5th, you know, at 6 to 9 p.m. Woodbridge, Virginia, in the Veterans Growing America location. I'm going to put this banner up, and then I'm going to invite our other ladies to the screen. We have Jasmine and Lori who are joining us, who I'm sure have some questions. But for just a minute, I'm going to leave this up. If you haven't signed up, this is an in-person event. You know, scan the QR code, sign up. If you have a product, a service, you know, a book, you know, candles, clothes, coaching service, whatever, you can also buy a vendor table. All proceeds will be going to Veterans Growing America. And we're so blessed that Donnell and Tonda Johns are hosting us. And it's just a beautiful space. It is just a first class space. So I'm going to take this down and give Lori and Jasmine an opportunity to ask you a few questions, and I'm going to mute.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and go first because I'm over here like, oh my goodness, she's just like slaying. But I'm trying to, and y'all know we can do Jesus all day, right? With me.
Yes, that's right.
But is anyone picking up the recurring theme of resilience, because that's what we have been built for? But more specifically, it's like this not today Satan kind of attitude, throughout the whole thing. And it's unfortunate that we have to position ourselves in that way and in that light. But hey, it is what it is. But I have appreciated this whole conversation because again, it was even a reminder for me. And you don't know how to take it. Man, she went through the same thing I go through. Should we all have to go through that same journey? But nevertheless, hey, it's a testament to the ones that we left behind. Hey, you can do this here. We're sharing with you insight so you can navigate this thing a little bit better. And so I just have appreciated all of this here. Appreciate your career, appreciate your service. And it was just amazing just to hear, despite where we all come from, but the journey in essence is the same.
Yeah.
And man, there's nothing like ain't nothing like having a deacon or a deacon that's praying for you, right? Dude, I'm just saying, y'all know that credit, like it just don't went up to heaven, right? So you can always tap on it. Man, my mama transitioned in 2018. I pull her credit cards out every now and then. So Jesus, I'm using Leola's credit today. So that was an amazing thing. But one of the things, we got a lot of we got people that are still in. We do have a lot of women who aren't doing this transition. And I know you touched on a bit, but what do we say to them as relates to, because I think the part that get missed a lot is that in our resilience, in our going in and establishing and telling ourselves, I'm pushing forward, I'm gonna get what's mine, right? How the significance and importance of being able to slay, without being perceived as aggressive, but we're going to maintain this dignity. Could we just expound on, hey, what kind of highlights or what kind of points or tips we can provide the young ladies who are still doing it, even in transition? Because to Michelle's point, some of us are still working in government, some of us are still working in corporate, and even in doing our own business in this transition, from a mindset perspective, what are those things that we can still hold on to that can facilitate us being able to still slay with dignity and not being labeled aggressive?
Yeah. I think one of the things that I didn't do very well that I think would help, that whole concept of all in, you got to be all in. All right. You got to be drinking the Kool-Aid. You got to be putting all the sugar in it and all the flavors and da 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 da. And, I started to realize they were coming to me because I was turning sour lemons into sweet lemonade. Okay. I could fix things really quickly. And so, when you can do that and they pull you in, they're like, oh, she's going to take care of all this over here. Okay. And I used to literally take it to, okay, I'm going to take care of all this and then some. And so I'm going to work myself to death. I'm going to get limited amount of sleep. And I started to see my whole demeanor change. I was growing impatient. I had zero tolerance for any type of other things besides what we are doing. Like, this is a mission and I'm going to need you to do it, right? And I had to learn towards the end that I can't control everything. I can't be by people at their house or wherever they were going downtown and being the decision maker, right? So one of the things that I think that, younger, people who are looking, as they're doing their service, is you can only control what you can control. And doing the best that you can, and with all the circumstances around it. When I had AJ, my whole life changed. All right. That was like, and then I realized others that had children, because I was beating them down. I'm like, why you have these kids up in here? We got to exercise. And then, the daycare ain't even open. You know what I mean? So when I had AJ, I was like, you going to step all the way back. Yes, these kids can come in here. Come on, put the playpen in the corner here. We're going to figure this out. Right. So I think it's just by learning and having the experiences and really learning from that, like what went well, what didn't go well, how are you feeling in the moment? I wanted to come out refreshed. I did not want to come out broken and looking ragged, because that can happen, truly can happen, because you're just doing all the things for the Air Force, all the things for Army, whatever branch of service you're in. So really taking the time to think about, like, where is that cushion of time or space that you can give yourself, so you're not trying to overwhelm and stress yourself to no point. Because people literally, and I don't like to be dim and grim, but people were dying from stress and burnt out and overwhelming anxiety because they were trying to make things happen. And you just can't sometimes.
It's funny you say that. What a great response. That I say motherhood helped me understand grace.
Oh, yeah.
Motherhood helped me understand patience, right? Because before that, I always say, people who don't have children, you got more energy.
Yes.
You got more brain power, and you got more peace. Because that's energy you're not having to put out. There's things you don't have to worry about. You can remember that's 9,400,600 and something cents. When I'm just rounding up to 4 billion, I don't have no brain power to get down to the cents. But there are people. I had a boss. That's a trigger moment. I had a boss when I was a squadron commander that didn't have children. He and his wife couldn't have children. He used to get me on the details, and oh my God, because he could memorize that stuff and retain it. He wasn't trying to. I had a baby. And when I was a commander, trying to pick up. My husband was deployed after that, and I'm trying to do all these things, take care of the troops. He didn't have that, but I will tell you that I believe that motherhood, to your point, helped me be a better leader.
Yes, absolutely.
It absolutely did. And it helped me realize I need to leave room for other people to have something to do. I don't need to put the sugar in it and add the extra little, the orange
parsley on the glass.
Oh yeah, all of that.
Dressing it up. Yeah. Fish your own lemonade. Squeeze your own lemon. Get that lemon juice up in the bottle.
Add some sugar if you want. Exactly. So yeah. So anyway, we might have digressed, but I'm telling you,
we all relate.
Yeah, that's right.
On June 5th, it is real. We keep it real. We enjoy each other, and this is what I love about the female conversation. We go from business, and we can roll right over here and talk personal, and roll back to business or whatever. So, Jasmine, you got a question or comment?
I do. Thank you so much for your time and your story. I took away so much from your acronym that I think really centers to who you are.
Thank you.
So I have a question for you, ma'am.
Sure.
As a fellow veteran and a woman advocate for women in leadership, how do you guide women? Like, what steps could you give a woman who is going to embrace her transition from military service and go into, maybe she's going into business, maybe she's deciding she wants to take a pause, because I don't think we talk about taking a pause. I think most times we just jump right into whatever's next. But what would you tell her? What would you tell a woman who is like trying to figure out what to do next in her transition?
Yeah, I think they should take the pause, just a short stint if they can only do that. But, one of the things that I was fearful of when I transitioned was that I had to get into something right away. Like, I felt like my husband, he went back into government, and so that's his job. But he was off for 3 years after he retired. But for whatever reason, I felt like I needed to get into something like right away. Like I was looking, I was applying all this stuff. And he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm just trying to figure out like what I'm supposed to do." He's like, "Why don't you just do nothing? Okay, why don't you just take a break?" All right. We just came at, like, I led through the pandemic. I led through George Floyd. I led through like mission changes. I led through a lot of, very unique circumstances that not a lot of people didn't have to lead in. And I was tired. I was exhausted. And he said, "You just need to take a break." All right. So I started walking around in the neighborhood, y'all. I was just meeting neighbors, and they asked me, "What do you do?" "Oh, I'm retired." "Retired from what?" "The military." "The military?" And then eyes all big and stuff like that. And then you got to explain. And it was just a whole thing. But then I started driving around the DMV, and I just really took in the environment. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to dream big. Who do I want to be in this next chapter? And I started just writing things out. Like, I want to be the next Oprah for the military. I want to be a world-renowned speaker. I love to speak. I want to write books. I want to be creative. I just want to just be free. So if anybody calls me and they say, "Hey, you want to go and do something?" Absolutely. Where are we going? It was that. I just needed to be. And so if people, as they transition, if that's possible, because I know not everybody's situation is not the same, right? But if it's possible, I would say take about 3 months or so, 6 months if you can, really design the life that you want to live. Who do you want to hang out with? Where do you want to hang out with? What is it that you want to show up as? Like dream as big as you possibly can, because it's limitless. We have all this expertise and skills that we developed over the years. We can go in any direction that we want. So never like put yourself into a box where you feel like you just can't do because you don't have the credentials, or you don't have the certificates, or you don't have the degree. All of that will come once you just decided just to move forward, So that's what I would say, And in your ideal place, where do you want to live? Where do you want to work if you want to go to work? I mean, these are all the things that we decided. I'm not from Maryland. All right. My husband's not from Maryland. We were in South Dakota. We just said, "Hey, where do we want to live?" "I don't know. Let's pick a state." Here we are, Maryland. And we're thriving. We're doing exceptionally well where I felt he did. And he never had any reservations. I was the one. So, those are the things that really need to be thought out, written out, and just take action and see where it takes you.
Thank you so much. That was very good.
We have one question from Donnell. It was amazing. He said, Donnell Johns, who's our host, said, "What's one commonly held belief in this field that you strongly disagree with, and why?"
In which field?
Your field. It could be the image consulting field. It could be in the leadership field.
That I disagree with.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I've gotten into this space, image consultant could be somewhat of a challenge for people to wrap their head around. They're like, "What does that mean?" All right. And I get this all the time. They're like, "Oh, so you just dress up people?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do that." But I also help with your body language, your communication skills, and your digital presence. Because our behaviors in the military, as great as they served us when we were in the military, some of those behaviors do not serve us well when we are out here in the civilian community. You can't be directing folks and ordering them, putting your hands on your hips, crossing your arms, snapping, making people to do all that. Yep. And expect people to just jump and start to do, right? You walking heel to toe, you got your hands in fists, balled up, acting like you're getting ready to hurt somebody. And so those types of things need to be sorted out. You need to like adjust because you want to be able to connect and build relationships. These folks have been doing their thing in the civilian community all their life. And now here we are, we dropped onto a different planet and we were said, hey, now go and make some friends. Go and, build a community, build relationship. It has to look different, right? Our communication skills. I'm talking in jargon and acronyms and all this other stuff. They don't know. People who had never been in the military, even if they say, hey, my uncle was serving in the military, they do not understand the jargon. Right. And so when people just start sharing and they got all these acronyms, I'm like, no. Because, sometimes I don't even know what they're talking about. I was in there for a long time, right? Because that's what happens. So the communication skills have to change in a certain way. We talk very assertive and very like dominating because we had to carry that energy. Like we had to direct. When you're in a civilian community, you got to bring that all the way down. Yeah, all the way down. So that's the other thing. And then we were taught to blend in. Okay, in the military, you are taught to blend in. You get in line, in formation. Everybody looks the same. Got on the same uniform. We look different from the outside, but when it came to the uniform, everyone had to be the same. All right, and so when it comes for you to put yourself out here in the civilian world, people get scared. People are like, I can't do that. That's putting myself out there. That's a risk that I'm not willing to take. However, you want opportunities. And in order for you to get opportunities, especially since we're just getting out here and starting, we're not starting from scratch, we're starting from experience, but we are starting out in a new chapter. You have to do something to put yourself out there and to stand out. Now, I believe it's clothes. Like I can control the clothes. That's why I dress in pink. And I don't care what anybody says. They don't get to dictate what I wear. All right. So that's what I'm doing. I'm wearing pink every day, bold prints, because it helps for me to carry that energy and to allow someone else to do the same. You can do this too. You can put yourself out there and get opportunities. And I get opportunities all the time where I get to showcase my business. I get to talk about my, experience being in the military. So yeah, so I don't think that, image consulting, if you will, or branding, because personal branding is the other thing that I really, truly enjoy helping to build for women. People call that like having like, what do you call that? Vanity. It's not vanity, it's strategy. This is all strategy. Okay. So thank you, Donnell. So Donnell, you would give me a difficult question, but you here helping us get through this. I appreciate you and everything that you are doing for the community. And since GI is not here, I'm moderating. Hey, Glenroy, how you doing? Good afternoon, good evening. It's good evening. And then we had who else dropped in here, y'all? It was Michael Black. He was up in here. So he said, one good man is here. Check the mic is here. What else are we talking about, y'all?
I think that's it. We've got to remind people about showing up on June 5th and getting registered. And so get registered.
Yeah.
What Glenroy say? I changed up the way I dress for work.
You put it on the screen?
I can't. I don't have the access.
I'm back, y'all.
Yeah, we had one comment here.
We had one question. You had a question? There was a question?
It's a comment from Glenroy.
Okay, hold on just a minute. Let me put that back up. Glenroy. Okay. Let's put it up. He said, I literally changed the way I dressed for work as a result of having to blend in. Stacey Adams, creased slacks, starched and ironed shirt and tie, creased thanks, I don't know, creased pants, polos, athletic shoes. People were intimidated. Why?
You know, they are intimidated because they don't know what they don't know. They've never seen it before. You know, we were taught, and Glenroy was also stationed with me at Nellis. And so we were taught, you know, in the military to make sure you iron your uniform, you know, before they went and turned it to the other one. You shine your boots, you know, make sure everything is neat and in order. And so we also take that to our civilian clothes. And when others don't know or understand that concept, they do get scared because you're trying to outdo them. All right. They don't want you to outdo them. They don't want you looking better than them. So they're trying to tell you to come on down. So, I mean, unless it's your boss, okay? Because if it's your boss and your boss is saying, hey, you're looking too clean up in here, which I don't know why that would be a thing, but it's the environment. So, you know, maybe you do one little thing at a time, Glenroy. You know, come with the Stacey Adams with a pair of jeans on. You know, instead of all the slack, you come with a little bit. Maybe you change the game to the shoe game. You know, you have a shoe game. Maybe you just have a hat game. Something else that you could be it's considered your thing, like they can see it for what it is. But I'm sorry that they are dimming your light.
And Glenroy, I do just give them all of it. Give
Yes,
it all.
that's what I'm saying.
Because it's a mindset thing, and I think it starts culturally when we were growing up. It all depends on how that's nurtured. Because I recall when I moved to the DMV area as a contractor with CACI, working at Walter Reed. You know, again, I was rooted in a sanctified church, so we was dressing up before the military. You know,
That's
so
right.
we always gonna be dressed
Talk
up.
about it.
And so when you transition, you know, I'm coming in, I'm professional. I'm a project manager on a contract. So I have people under me. So I always knew what leadership was. And I was literally told, hey, you know, you don't need to dress up to come to work. I said, well, yes, we do. And you should start. Because the dynamic was the leaderships in charge of the directorates was male, you know, white men, and they're in their button-down shirts and ties. We're coming up in there in flip-flops, sundresses, short, you know, just no, this is not what this is an office. You engage customers. And so that is how you should present yourself. And so I'm with Glenroy. No, you're going to learn how to dress today.
Today.
So that's what it's about. It's about making sure you're doing it in the right way. And they're going to be intimidated because they chose to settle.
Exactly.
You know, they chose to settle. They chose to play the role they play. No, Glenroy going up in there, honey, with your crease.
And he could dress.
And the
And so,
Stacey.
yes, right.
Give it to him every day.
Every day. I'm like,
They
Lord.
smell good.
And he has signature smell goods too. So he was just like, I got to wear this.
And make them mad.
You know,
you're going shopping this weekend.
I love it. I love it. Well, you know, it oftentimes is a little known fact. You know, the Air Force paid for me to get a 4-year degree in fashion design, so it is my duty.
It's your duty.
But I've had people say, "Oh, it's always a fashion show with you, isn't it? What color is your hair?" I'm like, "What does that have to do with my work,
my performance?"
My performance? and I summed it up into something, Glenroy, that it's I won't tell you the whole story, but it was a question that came up when a friend of mine who was in the Marines retired, and one of the things he said, well, you know, I'm just a country boy from Georgia, and I'm the great granddaughter of a Baptist preacher, so I speak out loud. I said, who is he talking about? This man like had medals up here and spoke several languages, and I was like, who is he talking about? And his roommate was sitting next to me. He's like, shh. He said, I'm gonna talk to you at the reception. So we get to the reception. I said, what are you shushing me for? You know how we are. I'm grown. You don't be shushing me. he said, you can't show everybody what you're working with. There was nothing wrong with what he said. I said, what do you mean? He said, are you going to tell me that everybody deserves your excellence? And I was kind of like, I'm rarely speechless. I was like, I don't know. He said, everybody doesn't deserve your excellence. I said, give me your number. I don't know the answer, but I'm gonna have an answer. I mean, I have it right now, but I'm gonna have an answer. I thought about it. That was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday morning, I woke up and God said, yes, everybody deserves your excellence. When we are excellent, one, we glorify God and say, thank you, Lord, for all the talents and gifts you've given me. Two, when we're excellent, we tell others, you better step up your game. Three, when we are excellent, guess what? We give other people permission to be excellent. You can dress, look, you dress too, do your style, do you, right? But last but not least, which is the most powerful, and I think the point of Women of Grit and Grace, when your excellence joins with my excellence and we join together, that's where the mission, the magic, the money happen. So be excellent, because the people that you attract will be drawn to your excellence, and they'll give you an opportunity to join with them. So girl, I'm with the other ladies. Don't dim, don't dress down, dress up, take it to another level. That's the way you do it. Take it to another level. Don't put your,
Maybe
don't put your hands
in there.
Yeah, they mad every day.
Every day.
That part.
Be
They
mad.
every day.
Better be glad my knees bad, because you sure be mad.
That's
As
right.
y'all- As
Listen.
y'all can see, we have a great time. And Glenn Ray, unfortunately, this is all female, but we do appreciate a few good men joining. But let me just say, ladies, women veterans, women leaders, military spouses, military women who support the military community, come on out June 5th, 6 to 9 p.m. Okay, we are going to have a blast. It's not too late to join. I'm going to put the flyer up one more time, and I am going to ask Rochelle, to have a few words, closing words right after this. All right, Slay Queen.
Yeah.
We have enjoyed you. My God, what a time we had. And I can't wait. We just, I tell people, when I know I'm going to hang out with some amazing ladies, I don't really care who else come. I just know I'm going to have a good time.
I know, right?
I'm just saying. I know if it's nobody but Rochelle, Jasmine, Lori, Yolanda, and we're going to have a good time. But we would absolutely miss you if you are not there. And I can guarantee you, you're going to have FOMO, fear of missing out. If you don't join us June 5th, 6 to 9 p.m. in Woodbridge, Virginia at Veterans Growing America, amazing location. Rochelle, give us some words of wisdom, some last words before we close out.
Slaying the fears is just one of those things that we need to really start to move through. Mm-hmm. Like, never back away from something that you're uncertain about. takes the small steps to get you through, because I already know once you do, when you get to the other side and you see who you can become, who's who in whatever you're doing, there is nothing that can stop you from doing anything that even comes to your mind. And I know that it's hard, it's difficult, it's challenging, it could be exhausting. But at the end of the day, it's all about, for me, and I know that is for my sisters here, it's legacy.
Mhm.
We're building legacy. This is about what are they going to say about us when we're long gone, when we're
Mhm.
long gone for many years. What were we doing? What kind of impact were we making? And influencing people to do the right thing. And that way the world can just be a better place. And I think that for me, I just get a small piece of that. I just have a small territory to express that and do that in such a way. And if we all grab just a small piece and help and grow our communities in such a way that we can see that they have been able to just really change the trajectory of where we're going, anything and everything is possible. So, that's what we're going to generate. That's the kind of energy that we're going to generate at Grit and Grace. We want to see you. We need to see you.
Yeah.
There are many people who are in desperate times right now. They
Mhm.
are feeling the energy of the world, and I'll just leave it at that. Okay.
Mhm.
And so come get nurtured, come fill your cup, come and meet other women who are in the same type of situation, that are looking and seeking for others to help them. And we're going to help you. We have resources. We have resources to help you to get you where you need to be. At our last Grit and Grace event, there was connections being made, there was conversations being had, and people were literally saying, hey, I need a job, or I'm looking for a job here. And many voices in the room said, come see about me. Okay. So that is what we are doing. We are just not randomly, haphazardly. We're not about wasting your time. We're not about like doing things just to be doing things. We're very intentional about how we are growing and encouraging others to be in the space. So we will see you there. Okay, we're gonna see you there. I'll be
I
looking for
want
you.
I want to thank all of you for joining us. Especially want to thank our special guest, Rochelle Slay Queen Hemingway, for joining us. Yes, and as we close out, which we're almost there, I just want to put this slideshow up so that you can see all of the women facilitators that are going to be with us. And then guess what? We'll see you there June 5th. But guess what? We have one more amazing women of Grit and Grace that we'll be showcasing, and that will be Yolanda Tate on Tuesday. So sign up. We'll see you there. Thanks for joining us.